You wake up, brew a cup of drip coffee, grab a plastic bottle of water for the commute, pick up a hot meal on the way, and swallow a standard painkiller to push through a looming headache. To any observer, this is a responsible, healthy routine. In Taiwan, this routine usually involves a stop at a local street vendor. You buy a steaming bowl of hot soup or a snack, and the vendor quickly scoops it into a plastic bag or a paper bowl for easy transport. These habits coincide with a disturbing trend in public health. Over just 6 years, Taiwan's prostate cancer rates jumped 49%, while 26-year-old office workers are increasingly appearing in clinics requiring lifelong kidney dialysis. This scale shows the physical reality of what we are ingesting. On average, the microscopic plastic particles entering a human body every single week add up to 5 grams. That is the exact weight of a solid plastic credit card. We reach for safe alternatives to plastic or quick medical fixes, unknowingly selecting products that act as efficient delivery systems for microscopic damage. Our reliance on modern convenience has created a problem of invisible accumulation, delivering unregulated synthetic toxins directly into our bloodstream. Consider the paper container used for hot takeout. Most people prefer these over plastic bags because paper feels like a natural, inert material. However, pure paper cannot hold hot liquid without dissolving. To make these containers waterproof, manufacturers apply a thin plastic membrane to the inner walls. When this lining meets high temperatures, the bond fails. Steeping a commercial tea bag or a paper coffee filter in 95 degrees Celsius water for 10 minutes causes the heat to strip away billions of invisible plastic fragments. This chart captures the scale of the release. Compared to traditional ceramic or glass, applying high heat to paper and plastic mesh materials releases 47 times more microplastics into the liquid. Mechanical force is also a trigger. Simply twisting the cap off a standard plastic water bottle creates enough friction to shred the threads, releasing roughly 500 microplastic particles directly into the water. Heat and physical friction act as catalysts, transforming static, safe packaging into an active, invisible microplastic soup. These particles are small enough to cross physical barriers, like the gut lining or the blood-brain barrier. Once they enter the bloodstream, they flow alongside healthy red blood cells as jagged, indestructible invaders. The body cannot metabolize or expel this material. In men, these particles lodge deep within prostate tissue. Researchers found microplastics in 90% of analyzed tumor cells, with concentrations 2.5 times higher than in healthy surrounding tissue. When the immune system fails to break down the plastic, it remains in a state of permanent chronic inflammation. This persistent biological stress is a primary driver of cancerous mutations. Beyond the physical particles, heated plastics leach chemical plasticizers called DEHP. These are environmental hormones, compounds that directly interfere with human internal messaging. In the body, DEHP mimics estrogen. By binding to cellular receptors, it tricks the endocrine system, spiking the risk of breast cancer by up to 7 times in susceptible women. Ingested plastic presents a dual threat: a physical blockage that triggers chronic inflammation, and a chemical imposter that hijacks our hormone receptors. This pattern of accidental damage extends to another daily item: the over-the-counter painkiller. Many people take drugs like ibuprofen or Eve preemptively, often on an empty stomach. These painkillers work by blocking prostaglandins, the chemicals responsible for transmitting pain signals to the brain. Prostaglandins serve a critical secondary purpose. As shown by these glowing molecules, they act as regulators that keep the blood vessels leading into your kidneys wide open. When you block prostaglandins to stop a headache, you also remove the signal that keeps those renal vessels open. The vessels squeeze shut, violently choking off the blood supply to the organ. This sudden lack of blood flow causes the kidney's millions of microscopic filtration units to harden and die. Once these units scar over, they are gone forever. The kidneys lack pain receptors, so this necrosis happens in total silence. A patient may lose significant function before any physical symptoms ever appear. The exact chemical blockade used to cure a temporary headache can silently suffocate your permanent filtration organs if used recklessly. These biological realities are manifesting in clinical data. At National Taiwan University Hospital, doctors are reporting a rise in young, working-age professionals arriving with late-stage chronic diseases. The persistent, silent accumulation of synthetic materials and chemical shortcuts bypasses our natural biological filters through the very conveniences we trust most. Reducing this risk requires radically separating heat from plastics and paper linings. For hot food and drinks, prioritize glass, ceramic, or stainless steel containers. Painkillers require strict caution. Never take on an empty stomach, never mix different brands, and strictly observe time gaps to prevent renal blood flow from being repeatedly cut off. Proactive monitoring is essential. Ask for early kidney function tests, such as IS indicators, to identify declining health long before physical symptoms surface. Navigating modern life safely requires us to look past the convenience of our options and start actively defending our bodies against invisible delivery systems.